Hello everybody, welcome back. I'm Inside Elections. It's Saturday, January 17th, 2026, and today we're going to be talking about this breaking news out of the state of Virginia that the Virginia state legislature has officially passed a redistricting amendment to redistrict the state of Virginia. On Friday, January 16th, 2026, the Virginia State Senate passed a constitutional amendment, a temporarily suspension of the Virginia Independent Commission. This means that should the voters approve this, which we'll talk about in a second, should the voters approve this, Virginia will redistrict for the Democratic Party and axe out Republican seats in the state of Virginia in response to nationwide Republicans. Now, this was the final step for Virginians to vote on, not Virginians to vote on, this is the final step of the Virginia state legislature to vote on to the final legislative step that they needed to do to redistrict. It's gone through the Virginia House of Delegates. It's gone through the Virginia State Senate, like I just said, like it just passed yesterday. It is now going to the voters, and it will go to the voters no later than April 2026. That is only in about. We can expect this to be on the ballot for Virginians, a special election ballot initiative in the state of Virginia, in less than 3 months, or about 3 months, to determine whether or not they want to redistrict the state and gerrymander seats, probably 4 seats away from the Republican Party, into the Democrats in the state of Virginia. This comes after, months of back and forth where Republicans have tried to gerrymander their states successfully, I will add. They've gerrymandered their states in favor of the Republican Party. Democrat states have followed to gerrymander for the Democratic Party to cancel out this cheating. That's what it is. It is cheating for both sides ahead of the midterms to use your power to axe out Democratic representation in your state just because you have control of the state. We've seen Republicans do it in the state of Texas. This all started with Texas. Greg Abbott and Donald Trump gerrymandered 5 Republican seats out of the state of Texas. And then Missouri followed. They axed out Missouri's 5th district. It is now going to be a safe Republican district in 2026. Same thing goes for North Carolina. They axed out North Carolina's 1st district. It's now going to be a safe district for the Republican Party. But Democrats didn't just stand back and let this happen. They gerrymandered California. They took away 5 Republican seats in the state of California by passing it through the state legislature and having the voters approve it, having the voters vote on it, just like they're doing in Virginia right now. And this mostly comes after Ron DeSantis called for a special legislative session in the state of Florida in April to redistrict the state of Florida. Because unlike Democratic states, the only states with independent commissions are the bodies responsible for drawing fair congressional maps. That's why states like Virginia have a fair congressional map. They have nearly a split delegation. Virginia Democrats always win, but not by a huge margin, which is why they have 1 more seat than Republicans. This is because the independent commission drew this map to be fair, whereas Republican states don't have these independent commissions. Florida doesn't have one, which is why Democrats have less than 30% of representation, despite getting routinely 40% of the vote or more. And Republicans are trying to axe out this 8 Democratic seats to 3, possibly 4, in the state of Florida. So this independent commission, the voters have to vote on it to repeal it, because that's how the state government in these states work. They're not like Republicans. They're not just going out of their way to gerrymander the state without asking the voters. Because I know pretty much for a fact, Texas would have passed it. Texas would have passed it if they did vote on it. Missouri probably would have passed it. North Carolina would not have passed this. North Carolina is a 50-50 state. They would not have passed a redistricting amendment. For the Republican Party, I can nearly guarantee that. But Republicans know that, which is why they just went ahead, used their majority in state government to gerrymander these states without asking the voters if they want to gerrymander these states. Now, It's not the best system, but at least Democrats are asking their voters, do you want to gerrymander the state, in response to the Republican Party gerrymandering their states. And we can look about what would happen, or what the map will look like. We already know that it's all started with Republicans in Texas, gerrymandering 5 seats out of the state of Texas. And then Missouri followed, gerrymandered 1 seat out of the state of Missouri, then 1 out of North Carolina. Then Democrats responded in California, gerrymandered 5 seats out of California to counteract Republican gerrymandering in the state of Texas. Then they pushed for redistricting for fair districts in Utah, and won. Utah's going to have a safe Democratic district in 2026. And now Virginia is going to axe out 3, probably 4 Republican seats in the state of Virginia. That brings Democrats to a win in the redistricting war, but it's not going to last for long, because Republicans in the state of Florida are looking to axe out 5, possibly 4, but probably 5 Democratic districts in the state. That still brings Republicans to a majority in this redistricting war by 2 seats. But that's better than if Democrats did not do anything. If they didn't redistrict Virginia, that would give them a 6-seat majority in the redistricting war, which is really a 12-seat majority, because 6 seats away from the Democrats and 6 seats to the Republicans. That could and probably would decide the House majority in 2026, which is why Democrats are fighting back against this unfair redistricting by unfairly redistricting themselves. Now you might say, unlike Republicans, you've made this whole deal about Republican states and not asking the voters. Democrats are asking the voters, but what if the voters don't approve? That's a very good question that I came up for myself, assuming that you would think of. Well, in 2024, Kamala Harris won the state of California by 20 points, not House elections. Presidential House elections. Kamala Harris won the state of California by 20 points. Exactly. Let's look at the redistricting amendment in the state of California. It passed by 29 points, 28.8 points actually. 28.8 points. It passed by 9 more points than Kamala Harris won the state by. And if it's even somewhat similar in the state of Virginia, Kamala Harris won Virginia by 6 points. If the same thing happens in California that it did in Virginia, Virginia should vote for this by about 15 points. And if we're looking at it from the state, which makes sense, because Virginia just elected their Democratic governor by 16 points, by 15.4 points, I mean. I don't know why it's blue, but Gus Hamburger's the Democrat, Winsome Sears was the Republican. She won by 15 points, 15.4. So it makes sense if this passed by about that 15-point margin, just like it passed 10 points more than Kamala Harris before in the state of California. And another reason why I think this will do even better this will pass for the Democrats is because it's going to be a special election. Now, in California, yes, it was a special election for the ballot initiative. It was. Let me pull it up. But it was on election day. It was on November 5th. I think this was when election day was. November 4th, I mean. It was on election day. Now it's going to be a special election in the middle of April. And we've seen time and time that special elections by far favor Democrats. Now will they favor them statewide? We don't know. We haven't that hasn't been tested yet, but it will be tested in the state. Actually kind of has in California, but it hasn't really been tested. And we will see what will happen in the state of Virginia. Will Virginians vote to redistrict and gerrymander the state of Virginia ahead of 2026 in response to Republicans? Will they not pass it? Will they say, we want fair maps in Virginia, even if Republicans are not putting fair maps in their states? Well, that's enough about this video. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed it, I encourage you to like the video and subscribe to my channel. I upload daily the newest election news every day. And yeah, I hope you have a great day.